Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hashtag Sports. Welcome to the presentation, the post-game presentation of the Buffalo Bills versus the New England Patriots, where the Buffalo Bills, as some would say, escaped with a 24-21 victory over their division rival, the Patriots. Lots to talk about tonight. We're going to try to get through all of it tonight. Paul is not here, so I'm just flying solo. You guys only get me, so the chat's going to be booming tonight. Shiva already coming in. Daniel, what's up? The Buffalo Bills playing a very uninspired brand of football. I don't know if the weather had anything to do with it, but they come out slow out of the gates and then make their second half adjustments, and then they end up coming back to win the ball game. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. What's the status of Josh Allen? We heard that Balin Spector also went out of the game. No Milano or 3/4 of the starting secondary once again this week. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how the Bills try to approach the next 2 weeks. Obviously, they're still in the running for the number 1 seed, but we're going to see as time progresses. I believe the Chiefs play on Christmas, if I'm not mistaken, for week 17. Let me just check that for you guys real quick. But it's going to be interesting to see. Yes, they play on Wednesday. So if they happen to win that game, it will go a long way to seeing how the Buffalo Bills approach some of the injuries that they had sustained. Obviously, right out of the gate, you guys can find us at all of our socials: TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All episodes will be on iTunes and Spotify. Show is sponsored by Mr. Rogers Homes. Make sure you check his link in the description of this video. Bills should have lost 4 games straight. Rest the starter. It's John Calvin coming in. Oh my God. What is this, Shiva? None of that stuff. He doesn't need to take anything. He's all right. 1 playoff bye isn't worth playing 5 games. Yeah, I understand that. Quick call AJ Klein with Donnie Monica. Very good. Very good. If this team wants Elam off the season, please take him. Yes, really. Could have been guests on the episode. Either way, go Bills. Yes, Sean Rogers. There he is. Right. Obviously, some questions were answered tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We got some questions answered tonight. Obviously, for Kaiir Elam. Very interesting, the fact that you see why the guy's really not on the field very much. I mean, one of the specialties of Kaiir Elam is to play man-to-man coverage. Even when he does that, he has some problems. I mean, depending on the injury, the severity of the injury to Rasul Douglas, you look at it in this respect. Kaiir Elam effectively had or has a 3 to 4 game audition for the rest of the NFL, for the rest of his life. That's if I was Kaiir Elam and my agent, I was talking to my agent about that. You're like, listen, Douglas is out. You're playing against Detroit. What a wonderful game. Albeit backed into a corner. What a wonderful game to showcase your talents. Come on, kid, showcase your talents. And then you play against the Patriots and you have the kind of showing that you have tonight. You're not giving the rest of the league more reason to come after you as a former first-round pick. Now, you could speculate this and that. People are going to throw daggers at Brandon Beane for taking him and all this other stuff. However, I think they were just trying to catch lightning in a bottle twice, because they got Trey White was the 4th corner taken off the board. Kaiir Elam was then the 4th corner taken off the board. They were trying to redo it. But I don't mind the Buffalo Bills for doing that when they did. It was because the fact that's a premium position in the NFL. That's one that you're going to have to pay a lot of money to. And the Buffalo Bills at the time, it was cheaper to draft a corner than to try to go sign a free agent. And they had other needs as well. Jim Tripp coming in. Patriots covered the spread of -14. 2 cheers for them. I will say this, ladies and gentlemen of the chat. I will say this. This felt like the shoe was on the other foot the entire game. And let me explain to you what I mean. For years, especially throughout the drought, when Tom Brady was up in New England, Buffalo Bills would come out of the gates firing. Rah, rah, yeah, we're going to take it to them. We got nothing on the line for us. They're a playoff team. What are we going to do? Blah, 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 and all this other stuff. I seriously sat back when the game was 14-0 and went, it's fine. It's fine. I didn't have any trepidation or worry throughout this entire game that the Bills were going to lose it. Not one. I didn't think Drake May for 4 quarters could do something to this defense. I didn't think that the Patriots defense, albeit very good, could do anything to Josh Allen that would stop him. They slowed him down quite a bit today. I think the weather also slowed him down. I think his right hand being or right arm, elbow, hand, whatever the hell's going on, might be a little tough. But I got the sense that the Buffalo Bills were never in jeopardy of losing this game the entire game. It felt like a role reversal from the Patriots teams that the Bills used to try to take down when they were going winning Super Bowls. That's what it felt like. It was like, we get up for the Lions, we get up for the Rams, we get up for the Chiefs. We're not getting up for the Patriots or 3-11. We're not going to do that. But that's the sense I had throughout the game. Let me know what you guys felt throughout the game, if you felt any worry going on. But that's very interesting. All right. Sean comes in. Are Bills injuries worth the first seed? Yeah, I don't think so. I think if you keep going at this pace that you're going, you should be able to lock up the second seed in the home field for at least a game, maybe two. And then if you have to go to Kansas City, you have to go to Kansas City. The Buffalo Bills have proven that they can win in Kansas City. They haven't proven it in the playoffs yet, but they've proven they can go into Kansas City and win. Obviously, the deck will be stacked against that. You have to figure out what kind of seeds you would like to have going into the playoffs. Do you want to play a Chargers team? Do you want to play a Broncos team? Do you want one of those? Because Pittsburgh, albeit the loss to the Ravens, they still scare me. I think the Steelers are a tough matchup for the Buffalo Bills. I think the Ravens still are a tough matchup for the Buffalo Bills because those teams are teams that can effectively run the ball. And the Buffalo Bills, 15 games into the season, haven't proven that they can consistently stop the run. In the beginning of the third quarter, they can. I don't know what happens, but they're able to stop the run in the beginning of the third quarter, and they're able to flip the game on its head. But I don't think there are any injuries that are worth the number one seed and getting that bye. If that bye guarantees you that those guys are going to come back fresh, fine. And they get to stay at home and they get to do that. But to me, I don't think it's worth. You're playing the Jets and the Patriots the last 2 weeks of the season. I mean, you do have to win those games in order to secure your second seed, but I don't know about that. I don't know about a lot of that. Half of the defense was out too, so I was not confident as you. Yeah, I didn't think they were going to drop 40 like Detroit did. So it's like, you got Cam Lewis in there. Okay. You got Bishop. He's your second rounder. He's a guy who you have some invested in, which given the Kaiir Elam draft, do you think it's one of those things where do they know how to scout secondary guys? You think McDermott as a secondary guy would know how to scout secondary guys, but it's just one of those things. I was confident that they weren't in trouble because realistically, after 15 games for what you guys have seen out of the Buffalo Bills this year, it's one of those things where they're going to live and die by 17. And that's why the MVP debate always gets ramped up and gets so much heat because, yeah, the Buffalo Bills defense makes second half adjustments very, very well. Their offense makes second half adjustments very, very well. But if 17 is off, this defense can't carry like it did in the past. The first few years when Josh was starting to learn and before they had Stephon Diggs, he had to kind of, take his lumps and the defense would kind of carry a few games here and there. When they got Diggs, they would carry. Some of these games they would carry. But Allen has really just kind of put him on his back. And if the 10 playoff games that Allen has played doesn't tell you that he's the one that's supposed to be the straw that stirs the drink, I don't know what else to tell you. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen some of the reports as far as the MVP goes, but people are now listing that the media wants Josh Allen to become the MVP so bad by saying that his hand was broken, to make it seem like he had to overcome more adversity than anyone else in order to try to win the MVP this year. Guys, if you're here, the 33 of y'all that are sitting in here, how many weeks have Paul and I sat here on the post-game show and said to you, his hand's broken. I don't. They can list him on the report, but that guy's hand is broken. Like, if you guys remember that and have heard that and have seen that, just let me know in the just type a 1 in the chat if you've heard Paul and I say that for weeks. We knew his hand was broken. It doesn't change the fact of what he's been able to do in an NFL game and what he's been able to accomplish. He has so many firsts this year of what he's been able to do as far as the history of the NFL. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy since week 2. Yeah, I agree with you. Donnie comes in. Do you think they ran a limited playbook? Are you talking about for offense or defense, Donnie? Do you think that their offense or their defense was running a limited playbook? Because I think some of the defensive calls, Bills like to disguise a lot of stuff. And if you're not able to disguise a lot of things that you want to do, and the quarterback before the snap of the ball knows what coverage you're in, they're able to do a bunch of different things. They know where the ball's supposed to go. They know where they have to go. They know where the reads are. They know where to set the protections. They know how to do all that stuff. So if you have 2 different safeties that are in there now, and they're trying to play off each other, albeit they're probably on the second team and they probably communicate quite a bit throughout the year. However, they can't really cover up what they're trying to do defensively as well as some of the starters that were in there. Now, when Hamlin and Rapp were in there, they had their struggles. They did. And the biggest thing about it, that was the biggest thing that Hyde and Poyer brought to this defense, was the fact that they were able to disguise what they were doing on a play-by-play basis. They did it so well. They were so in sync with everything that they were doing. Rapp and Hamlin have to learn each other. You know what I mean? Bishop's out there. He's a rookie. He's not only trying to learn the nuances of the NFL, he's trying to learn how to disguise coverages within it as well. So it's one of those things where the defense might be having a little bit of struggles in the secondary because they're not able to disguise as well as they used to. And that's usually one of those things that happens. This defense will get cooked in the playoffs. You know what? I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you one bit. I think they would. I think that this defense, barring a superhero game by Josh Allen, does he have 3 of them in him? Like, is that what they're going to try to bank on in the fact that they think Josh Allen is going to absolutely just take them to wherever? Because I don't think they could. Jim Tripp, thank you so much, brother. Yo, there are only 2 likes. Click it. It's free. It's okay. You guys, you can like or dislike. It's called engagement, man. I'm fine with either. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. This is one of the topics I wanted to talk about because we have seen, and Buffalo Bills fans, I'm guilty of it as well. We deify some of these players. We have so much faith and we live on nostalgia. I know it's weird to say nostalgia about a player that was already on the team, but he's 30 years old now and he hasn't played in over a year. And he's had a few games that were, obviously I'm talking about Matt Milano. So thank you, Jim Tripp. Appreciate you, brother. So I'm talking about Matt Milano. Guys, Milano is not the all-pro player that he was. Given time off, given injuries, given a lot of these things that are going on. I don't understand why. Like, I can understand him coming back with some packages you want to put him in. You don't put him in for 85, 90% of the snaps. And I don't know why they were trying to do that. I don't know if they just thought his presence would bring something, because the all-pro Milano with Bernard is actually a scary tandem in pass coverage to have to deal with. Whereas if they're in pass coverage and you're not able really to disguise anything in the back end, they could still kind of make plays because of their athleticism. Milano now at 30, over a year off, couple injuries. It's really tough to kind of gauge where he kind of fits into this defense and a bunch of different things that he wants to do. Obviously, he was out today. Bale Inspector got to start. I saw Dorian Williams in there. He had that thing on his arm. I don't know what the status is of Williams, but you have a guy on your team who, prior to Milano coming back and getting off the IR, was leading your team in tackles. And he seemed like he was starting to get it. throughout, sitting, being next to Bernard, doing what he had to do. Some plays that he made were questionable throughout the year, and I understand he's first time starter. I understand that. I get that wholeheartedly, but I don't think you have a faster linebacker to the sideline than Dorian Williams. I don't think if teams, if you're able to stuff the middle on teams, which the Buffalo Bills have been inconsistent, he can catch anybody going to the sideline if they want to try to run outside, which is the strength, which is why a lot of teams run inside. Pump the likes up to 13. Join us, y'all. Yep. Yeah, I think Milano, Shiva, I agree with you. I think he needs a pitch count. I think and then you rushed him back. He played 85, 90% of the snaps, and then he's out now. He's got a groin injury now. I think they just rushed him back too fast. I think that was one of those things. Donnie, all I'm hearing is lead tackling. AJ Klein going to come out of the trailer park like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Do we get to hear the glass shatter when he does it too? I hope that happens. But I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing you have to think about as far as the game today. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills. I always throw record, history, everything else out the window when you play a division rival. Okay? When you play a division rival, it's just different. Ask the Eagles today. It's just a different vibe. Ask, Detroit beat up the Bears, but it was a brawl for a while. It was a brawl. Like, guys were just smacking each other in the face during that game. So when you want to look at a division matchup, Buffalo Bills, I think that even though they're playing, obviously we saw Patriots, Jets, Patriots, they're all divisional matchups to end the season, which is very weird. You're going to see just very physical, tough games, which puts worry on a lot of Buffalo Bills fans' heads in the fact of, what are we going to do? Like, we can't afford to lose any more players going into the playoffs. Obviously, if you have 17 upright, you have a shot to beat anybody. But there are little things that go on within there. This is not a secondary outside of Benford that you can bring into the playoffs and feel very confident. I don't think you can feel confident putting Kaiir Elam on a number 2. I mean, Taron Johnson in the slot, check. Benford on the outside, check. Bishop's kind of starting to get it, But some of these plays that are happening within the game, there's the quarterbacks that you're going to see in the playoffs are just going to pick you apart, nickel and dime you, and it's gonna frustrate you. So not okay right now. It is definitely not okay. Alan coming in. I knew this game was going to be close. It's a division game, and these games, they're always played tough. The division games are always a different animal. Okay, coming in. Comedian Mo Brown, Russ versus Bills. It's always Russ versus Bills. Yeah, some of those, I mean, it was 24-14. The Buffalo Bills, they just wanted to run clock. They didn't really care at the end of the game. They wanted to get everyone healthy off the field, and that's all they really wanted to do for the most part, is just get everyone healthy, keep everyone healthy, get everyone off the field. Pass interference. I can't fault some of the plays, some of the flags that were thrown, especially on Kaiir Elam. Like I said at the onset, guys, this kid had a 2 to 3 game, maybe 3 to 4 game window to audition for the rest of the NFL, or the Buffalo Bills if he wanted to. There's a reason they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. That should have been a sign. If the Bills want you, they try to sign you earlier than your extension is in certain cases. So them not exercising his 5th-year option and you realizing that, not knowing that this is your audition for the rest of the NFL. If you put something good on tape for the last 4 games of a playoff team, who knows what happens to you when the season's over, Hit the like button for that a successful postseason run. That's what I'm talking about, Tyler. Thank you so much, brother. Paul was Paul a healthy scratch? He was a healthy scratch. I mean, I've hung Paul out to dry on enough islands with things that I've had to do for family things. So he's taking care of some family things tonight himself. So Shiva's coming in. Excuse me. Von Miller's too expensive for the production. He was last year. You had to get Floyd, didn't you? Yeah, it was crazy. Didn't a Bills player get hurt in this game? Bale Inspector went out of the game, I think, and I believe Edwards went out. I don't know how long Edwards went out. Maybe it was a series or two. But Anderson came in. Obviously, they did a great job on the broadcast mentioning that Anderson, he comes in a lot of the packages that they have on offense as a sixth offensive lineman. So he was already warmed up. He was ready to go. So they just put him in that left guard spot. And guys, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the Buffalo Bills, I believe, will only go as far as their offensive line will take them. We could talk about Allen all we want. But this offensive line, the continuity that this offensive line has been able to have the entire year, you want to go back 2 years because 3 out of the 5 of them, actually 4 out of the 5 of them, one was in a new position with McGovern going to center. 4 out of the 5 of them have played the last 2 years consistently. And having that kind of continuity on the offensive line, I think is absolutely amazing. And one of the things that's going to be driving this team, hopefully a deep run into the playoffs and into the Super Bowl, is the fact that this offensive line is able to keep Josh upright, is able to open up holes for Cook, Davis, and Johnson. And they are absolutely amazing. I think one of the most unsung units. You want to talk about, Detroit has the best offensive line in football and this and that and the third and all this. I understand that. It's fine. You can say what you want. I mean, if there aren't two cities that are more closely linked than Detroit and Buffalo as far as which fan base needs a Super Bowl at this point, I don't know. I can't find two bigger fan bases that need a Super Bowl at this point. But that being said, this offensive line, this Bills team will only go as far in the playoffs as this offensive line will allow them to. First sack in how many games? I think it was 4, Shivas. I think it was the first sack that the Buffalo Bills have given up. And it was when Josh was just trying to run up the middle and trying to get away. Like, it wasn't like a sack. We were talking about sacks like 5-7 yard loss. It was like a 1 yard loss. So, Jim Tripp, what about Josh's pinky? I haven't heard too much about it. I didn't get a chance. I just immediately rushed to do the post game with you guys, so I didn't watch the post game that they had. I'm sure that question was asked. Amazing that the ribs, the X-ray that he had last week wasn't brought up for Josh after he went into the locker room and Josh hit his funny bone and made his hand numb. That happens. That happens quite a bit. I will say, as a former quarterback, that happens quite a bit. It sucks too because you can't get rid of it immediately. You start shaking your hand out and start going, damn it. And in a game where it's this cold, where you already don't feel your hands, it's even more annoying because you can't tell. You're sitting there left and right trying to get the feeling back, the tingling in your fingers back, and it's just absolutely awful. So I don't know if it's just he hit his funny bone or he had something else happen. They ran the sneak late in the game. You don't run that if your quarterback's injured. So I think they're all right. My sister's kids are Lions fans. Tears me up. It's okay, man. I mean, that fan base and that organization has been kicked and punched and beat up so many times. People are hoping that what happened last week with Detroit and Buffalo happens again in February. And I would not be against it, but it would be kind of crazy if Buffalo and Detroit actually end up meeting. Yeah, Miguel, we were just talking about that. Everyone's health after the game. Obviously, no word on Spector. Not really sure if Kaiir Elam picked up his ego somewhere on the field that he left. I know it's awful to say, but it just wasn't good. Just wasn't good. But I mean, people that are going to talk about this game and talk about Josh Allen as far as the MVP, or they're going to talk about Josh Allen and this team. How's it look in the playoffs and this and that? Why didn't you enter Josh? I don't look anything like Josh Allen. I appreciate that, Donnie, but I look nothing like Allen. people are going to talk about the stats, with Josh Allen, 16 for 29, 154, touchdown and a pick. Obviously that pick it was a very ugly pick. I don't know what Josh was trying to do on that play. It was one of those vaunted arm punts from the 2023 season. I wish he would leave those in the 2023 season. But as far as the game goes, Allen throws for under 200. He has a pick. You talk about a very unceremonious game. However, and it's kind of ironic that I have to talk about this as the Bills beat the Patriots. If you guys recall, throughout the Patriots' domination of everybody, especially the Bills in the AFC East, there were games where Brady would throw 45 times and have 335 yards and 4 touchdowns and whatever and do all this kind of nonsense. The next game, he would be like 17 for 23, 210 maybe, not even a touchdown or a pick, so certain things like that. The game played out in a way where you were able to exploit certain things of the Patriots defense, and the passing game was not one of them. Now, Allen, for me, does not need to throw for 300 yards every game to win the game. If he has to throw for 300 yards, your defense is horrendous. You have trouble. People want to talk about Dak Prescott's stats, before he got injured and a couple of years before this. The defense was a sieve. So he had to throw all the time in order to try to get the teams back in those games. But if you look at it, James Cook, 9.1 yards a carry. Ty Johnson and Josh Allen both had 5 yards a carry. Davis came in at 2.4. But as a team, the combination of Davis, Allen, Johnson, and Cook had 6.1 yards per carry. I don't care who my quarterback is, guys. I don't care who it is. I'm running the ball. If I'm getting 6 yards a clip in the game, and that's what I'm getting consistently, I'm going to continue to run the ball, and I'm going to run the ball effectively until you prove you could stop me. Once you prove you could stop me, then I got to do something else. But in this game, the way that it's shaped out for the Buffalo Bills, division rival, it's going to be kind of crazy. You were able to run the ball, and you were able to run the ball effectively on the Patriots. Exploit that. Let me ask you this. Do you think that Arizona or Miami, the second time the Bills played them, wish they would have stuck with the run a little bit longer? I mean, when the Bills were mounting their comeback, Arizona completely abandoned the running game. The second game at home, where the Dolphins were playing the Bills and Tua had a masterful game. I still love that game that Tua played. They were running the ball very, very effectively, and then they stopped. Because first of all, Mike McDaniel can't help himself. But Arizona just gave up the run. They just stopped running Connor. The Bills today, consistently, they were like, listen, we're going to run the ball. We're having success running it. Let's keep running it. We don't have to abandon it to go throw. We're down this many, blah, blah, blah. We're going to run the ball. So, I mean, that's a personal standpoint for me, my personal opinion. I mean, I'm going to keep running the ball if that's how it goes. I got some comments to get to. Do we have a two-headed giant in the running back room? I think we do. I think Ray, if you ask Paul, he loves Ray Davis. He loves his style. He loves his size. He loves what he's able to do. The only thing about Ray Davis and James Cook is that they pose different skill sets on third down, which is why you have Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson, as Allen has marked many times, is the best third down back in the NFL because he can pick up the blitz. He's seasoned. And he can run for very, very tough yards that you need, so you can keep the pressure off of Allen. James Cook has proven that he's able to hold on to the ball this year, both running through the line and catching passes. So he is the guy that you invested in. He's the guy that you have. Ray Davis is that guy who, if they're unable to get a deal done with Cook, he's going to be your guy. And we talk about premium positions on the show a lot: defensive end, quarterback, left tackle, corner. Those you want to save your money, your big money projects for those prime positions because that's what you need the most. Running back isn't anymore. I mean, you could make a case for Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. What about those guys, Mar? Those guys are freaks of nature. Those guys don't come around all the time. Derrick Henrys don't exist every year in the draft. Saquon Barkley's do not exist every year in the draft. I'm sorry to say they don't. So you do absolutely have a two-headed monster in the backfield, and it's a very cost-effective and affordable one. So that's what I really, really like about that. Miguel C coming in, a win, no matter how ugly, is a win. Hopefully defense gets better. Yeah, I think they will. I think they're going to give maybe this secondary another week off against Rodgers and whatever. It's fine. I don't care. But you will know what the Bills will do given the result of Wednesday's game, Christmas game, Kansas City versus Pittsburgh. That will tell you all you need to know about what the Buffalo Bills will do going ahead in the last two games of the year. Because if Kansas City wins that game, there's no shot at the 1 seed. You're not going to get it. It's completely out of, you can't get it. Mathematically, obviously, you can't get it. So what are you going to do? Do you want to rest some guys? I don't think they start Trubisky, but I think they're going to rest some other guys, and you're not going to see, the full, the full package of this defense or the offense moving forward. So, Old Man Jenkins, can you explain the difference in style, skill between Dorian Williams and Spector? I would say Spector is probably more of an interior linebacker and Williams is more of a coverage linebacker. I think that's probably what, we mentioned a little bit earlier in the broadcast. Williams does have a lot of tackles this year. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that some of those tackles were by the nameplates of the guys. So if you have a team where you think that they're going to end up trying to run the ball, control the clock more on you, you want more of a interior run stopping linebacker than you do want a coverage linebacker. So I think for my money, I think the Bills realize, listen, we got the edges. We're good on the edges. We can keep them hemmed in. They're not going to try to run off tackle. They're not going to try to do sweeps. They're not going to try to do this, that, and the third. Let's put Spector in there, and let's see if we can clog up the middle and then force them to do something else. Force Drake May to try to beat us. When you have Williams in there, he's more of that edge guy or coverage guy that you have with more speed. So I think that might have been their thought process. Because what I've seen on tape from both of those guys, Spector is more of the interior linebacker. Williams is a guy that will give you a lot more range, but fighting off blocks is not really his strong suit on the inside. Yes, Old Man Jenkins is a phenomenal name. I'm mad he took it. I want it right now. Tim Ellington comes in. Dumb question alert. So he already warns us. How much has Josh improved since he dumped Brittany for Haley? I don't know. The guy's been cooking since he got engaged. So good for him. Good for him. Good for Josh. Glad they went back to the run as the game went along. Yes, I loved it. No dumb questions. Dawkins was saying how much better it is to have a stable home. Yeah, if KC wins, the Bills. If KC wins, Bills rest for play. I think they might put one or two guys down. Not like that. I think they might rest a few guys, but I think you won't see Milano. Depending on the severity of the injuries of the secondary, they may put them on a pitch count. They may not. I don't know. They may want to try to get some of these younger guys some more work, because if you give them more work in the regular season, then maybe if their number is called in the postseason, they're not a deer in headlights out there. That could be one of those things. Start scheming for the Broncos. Is it the Broncos currently in the 7th seed? Is that what it is, Randy? Are they currently there? That'd be interesting. That's an interesting matchup. I love to just bury Sean Payton. I'm not a big fan of him. I apologize if you guys are. I just never been, ever since the whole Bounty Gate thing. Not a big fan of that guy. Chivas comes in. Trubisky should be good enough against the Jets, and Matt Bitcoin Barkley beat them. How dare you spit on the good Renegade's name? How dare you? Okay. All right, Paul. 2 mystery PI called down on Stevenson. Well, he ran right into Stevenson. That was the problem. Last I checked. Okay. That makes a lot of sense, actually. um, I try to make sense. I don't know. It doesn't happen too often here. But I'm just saying, like, everything aside, guys, watching the game might have been a little bit stressful. Obviously, the Patriots go up 14-0 on you. You're sitting there, the ghost of Christmas past kind of creeping into your head. You're like, oh, what am I going to do? They're always doing this. You had a 3-11 team who is essentially trying to get some continuity offensively. They're trying to get some pieces defensively that they want to work through and see who they're going to keep, who they're not. They go up 14-0. Buffalo Bills come down and score. It's 14-7 at the half. I never thought that the game was ever in danger or in jeopardy at all, because I didn't think they could stop Allen if he wants to turn it on or turn it off. That's one of those things. He didn't have his best game, obviously. 16 for 29 is not his best stat line. He ran the ball 6 times for 30 yards. But the run game was highly effective, and the second half adjustments that the Buffalo Bills defense were able to make were able to kind of hem in what the New England Patriots wanted to do. Albeit the Patriots did end up on the day with 4.2 yards per carry, and I believe in the team statistics. I mean, they showed that graphic early in the game where the Patriots had the ball for 12 minutes and the Bills had the ball for 2 minutes. So right after that first quarter. And the Buffalo Bills ended the game having the ball for 29 minutes to the Patriots 31 minutes. So in the second half, the Bills obviously made their adjustments. They obviously turned it around on the Patriots. It's a team that's not very good. However, the familiarity that the players have within the division in that respect, it's going to be a tough battle, and it's not going to be an easy game. And I didn't expect it to be an easy game. If someone would have told me before the game that Patriots are getting 14, I would have bet my house on the Patriots, because I knew it was going to be closer than 14 points. I just knew it. Second half. Oh, there we go. Garn coming in. Big dog. Second half was Buffalo 19-30, New England 10-30 for time of possession. I think some of that 10-30 was on that last drive that they scored too, Garn, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check this. That touchdown that they scored was it was only 3:16. So they held the ball in the second half for aside from that drive that they scored at the end of the game, they held the ball for 7 minutes in the second half. Remarkable. Bills come out in the second half, touchdown, 9 plays. They get a fumble, they get a field goal. Now you put the pressure onto New England. You're up 17-14. Good. They throw a pick. So you get 2 turnovers. You take 10 plays, you punt, and then you end up getting a fumble return for a touchdown that just gets knocked out of there. And then you're up 10 at that point with, when did the score happen? Let me just take a look right here. 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You're up 10 on the Patriots. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Unless something miraculous happens. Yeah. Because McDermott wouldn't have had a team prepared. I don't know. It's one of those things. I can remember. Now, try to take this with a grain of salt. A former Division III quarterback, as I was, there were teams that we knew in our division or conference that we were playing weren't very good. We still prepared, and our coach got us ready, but you approach the game and you're sitting there and you're like, there's no way these guys can touch us. I mean, we're going to dominate this game. And you end up just going out there and kind of going through the motions until you get a wake-up call. Now, that wake-up call could have been 14-0. That wake-up call could have been, it's 14-7. All right, second half adjustments. Now we're going to kick them in the throat. Whatever. But it's one of those things where you can have your team fully prepared to go into a game, but the mindset, even at the professional level, it probably could be like that. I don't know. I'm not in a locker room like that, but it could be one of those things. Weather obviously was a factor. I no doubt. I do not deny that one bit, Shiva. Weather was a factor in today's game for both teams, and it's going to be a factor when they play in 2 weeks. So for as bad as the D looked, if not for them, would have lost the game. Fumble, INT, then a TD. Yep. I mean, they came up with plays. They end up winning the turnover differential. They had a +2. You win by 3. What does that tell you? It's cold in New England too. It is. It is. Definitely. 100%. So, I mean, talking about the defense, talking about Allen, obviously we'll try to keep you guys abreast of what's going on with the Josh Allen injury. I'll have Paul in the studio with me hopefully soon so we can talk to you guys and give you guys some more content as far as that goes. Kaiir Elam, I believe, dropped the ball today. I mean, he had last week, he had this week. He's probably going to have next week too against the Jets to prove that he is a starting cornerback, a starting caliber quarterback, a cornerback in the NFL. But it's just one of those things where he may just not have enough time on task. It may be a disconnect in the comprehension of the material that he needs. Transferring stuff from the field, from the locker room to the field and whatnot. I don't know. I believe the kid has all the athleticism in the world to be a number one corner. It's just not really working out. But I mean, and we'll have to keep a look on Williams and Milano as well, as we move forward and see how that's going to happen. But I believe that the tipping point for this Buffalo Bills team going forward, if the 1 seed is what the Buffalo Bills want, then that Wednesday game against Pittsburgh is going to be the tipping point. If Kansas City wins that game, Buffalo might rest a lot of their guys. If Pittsburgh wins that game, then I think the Buffalo Bills go into, they play the Jets and they go full throttle against the Jets to try to kill them. I just think so. That's just one thing. Did I ever have a pinky injury? No. I never had a pinky injury while playing football. The finger that gets hit the most, honestly, from playing football and playing the quarterback position, is your middle finger. Because when you release the ball, if your lineman's blocking, he's getting pushed back in the pocket, and you release, that's the finger that just hits the helmet immediately, and it jams it up, and you get like Booger McFarland fingers, like I do, like right there. So sorry guys, but that's one of those things. When you release the ball, if you have a guy, if they're coming after you and stuff like that, it's not really your pinky that gets bent back. It's always that middle finger that snaps right on the helmet of the player ahead of you. So that's usually the tough part that happens every once in a while. So I kind of thought so. Yeah, it definitely does. Paul coming in. If the Chiefs win Wednesday, sit Josh last 2 weeks, let both hands. I don't know. If it's broken, it's broken. He's played all year with it. It doesn't matter. Ladies love booger fingers. Booger McFarland? Yeah. I don't know, because then you lose that continuity. You lose that game preparation and stuff like that. Like, most of the times what you'll see players and coaches do at all levels, they do this at all levels. Let's say you're beating a team by 35 in the first half. Okay. What you will do is you're planning on sitting your starters in the second half, albeit some catastrophic miracle happens. So what you want to do is you want to have your starters prepare as they're going out into the second half, just as they would. And you say, okay, you got one series. Okay, we're going to play them one series. That's it. But you're still in the mindset of, you're not giving them the halftime off. Like, and they don't have to mentally prepare. And then next week, if they have a tough game, they have to mentally prepare and all stuff. You try to keep as much consistency as you can with your team in your locker room with, okay, we're up. We still want to keep this consistency. If we go out, we score on the first drive, you guys are out, putting the backups in, all this other stuff. You can do this and that. But I agree with that too, Paul. Is the fact is, still take snaps in practice, but rest up a little bit. I think that's what they were doing mostly with the secondary, because obviously the secondary, for 3/4 of the secondary being out against Detroit, and then you were able to do what you did against Detroit and win and be victorious. Then you're sitting there and you're going, we got to play New England next week. Well, if you're talking to Douglas, Hamlin, and Rapp, and you're like, hey, you guys still a little banged up? We just brought this entire secondary into the highest scoring offense in the NFL. Albeit we won, it was because of Josh Allen, but they were able to kind of hold serve in what we needed to do in that game, and we ended up winning. So why wouldn't you start them 3 again against New England when they don't pose nearly the threat that Detroit did? So you say, hey, guys, you guys get another week to rest up. Now you have the Jets, which have a bevy of receivers that could challenge you quite a bit. At probably your last really good challenge until, the playoffs of receivers that you're going to see. So do the starters come back if Kansas City lose and then they rest them the final week of the season? I don't know. I don't know what the plan is for the Buffalo Bills as far as their secondaries. I don't know the severity of the injuries, but I know is that if they were able to take that secondary into Detroit and become victorious, why wouldn't they use that same secondary and rest those guys now as they went against the Patriots? So I still think the number 2 seed is still worth snagging a bit. Wouldn't rest starters until the seed. Oh yeah, I got you. If we win next week, I think the number 2 seed is locked. Yeah, that probably could be it. Yeah, because 4 losses, they'd still be good with 4 losses because Pittsburgh has 5, Ravens have 5, Houston has 6. So if the Bills win next week, they have the number 2 seed locked up. Depending on the Kansas City Pittsburgh game, and obviously if Houston beats Baltimore and Kansas City beats Pittsburgh, you already have it locked up. Yeah, and both of those games will be on Wednesday. So you could find out by Wednesday night if you have the number 2 seed locked up and if you're going to rest anybody. Because if Kansas City wins and Houston wins, then your magic number, you can lose the last 2 games and still be fine and still get the number 2 seed. Do we still? Let's click it, please. I appreciate you, Jim. I appreciate you, my dude. Yeah, hit that like button, guys. All right, so we got. Do we still want to fire McDermott? He didn't have anything really today that he did. I mean, nothing too extravagant in the game today that were game-changing calls that I would have deemed that he needs to lose his job. But it's one of those things. I mean, he's built a great culture, and I believe a lot of the things that Ryan has said on the broadcast before, where he's a guy you can bring in that'll turn your franchise around. He knows the infrastructure. He can build the blocks, the foundations, everything going up. He could do that for you, like an Andy Reid in Philly. He can build the blocks, do all this. If he doesn't win, you got to get rid of him. That's one of those things. I don't know how long the leash is on McDermott, but if he goes to the playoffs again and loses in the divisional this year, and Allen throws for 300 in that game and his defense gives up 35 points, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for Sean McDermott. I do not know. B, I don't know if it's the X's and the O's or the Willies and the Joes, my friend. I really don't know about that. Because you have Kaiir Elam, who was known as a man corner when he was in the SEC. Benford can play man. He's really good at playing man. I don't know if it entails that as a game plan. I know they blitzed a lot. So I know there was a lot more man that was played today because they were blitzing quite a bit. Especially they blitzed Bishop 2 or 3 times. I think I remember. And they brought Williams and Bernard on in a couple blitzes as well. But anytime they do try to play a little bit more press coverage when they're blitzing, because you have to play man behind it. You can't play zone when you're blitzing. It doesn't make any sense. But if it's one of those tells, it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Who's better than McDermott? I'm listening. Really, I am. Shoot. Oh, I don't know. I mean, Paul likes Vrabel. I don't know. I think it would be very, very tough because I think there are some things that emanate from Sean McDermott in this organization. Like I said, him and Bean seem to have they built the framework of a winning culture. And they may be one of those organizations where it's a Phillip Rivers type success where you have 10, 11, 12 win seasons consistently, which draw people in because it's a business and that's what they want to do. They just don't want to be one and gone. So it will be very, very interesting to see going forward. I have no qualms about McDermott right now. I really don't. But it always seems like we are if it's 4 or 5 yards for a first down. Defense seems to be at 8 yards. Yeah, I know. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know if they're trying to conceal, what they're trying to cover up, or what they're trying to do sometimes. Honestly, I wish I could just be a fly on the wall in the meeting room one day, and I can give you guys a little bit more insight on that. I'm just going on what I see on the field, what I see on the tapes, and I see the same thing you guys do, and it's very tough to kind of ascertain what their end goal is of some of those things. So I think that's what we're gonna wrap it up for today, guys. This has been the hashtag sports presentation of the Buffalo Bills versus the New England Patriots postgame. All of our stuff is in our link tree, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All episodes will be on iTunes and Spotify. Bills have a 3-point victory against the New England Patriots today. They're one step closer to the 1 seed, but we'll have to figure out on Christmas Day what happens to see. There's a lot of different scenarios with both of those. Like I said, if Kansas City wins, Bills could rest their starters. If Kansas City and Houston win, you can rest guys for 2 games. So that's one of those things. I want to thank you guys for joining the chat and hitting that like button on your way out. For Sean Rogers, for Paul who's not here, and for myself, I hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas. Enjoy the holiday with family and friends. And we're out of here, guys. Have a good night.
Hello, fellow Bills fans. Sean Rogers, realtor and lead of the Mr. Rogers Homes team. Did you know that real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth, and right now is one of the best times to own an investment property in Arizona? Please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions so we can take the next step to your financial freedom here in the Valley of the Sun, utilizing real estate. As always, God bless America and go Buffalo!